everyone, and thank you very much for coming back and joining me for another Retro Friday. I absolutely love doing these and I really appreciate all the support that I've been getting on these. And before we jump straight in to the classic movie that was brought out in 1988 called Willow, I hope that you like my Evil Dead jumper. Came in the post today, absolutely loving it. And if you're not a fan or anything, I'm sorry you're not going to get this, but clearly I shopped smart. I shopped smart, and I definitely think it's dead cool. Okay, I'm too cheesy. We're going to roll the intro and then we're going to start talking about the awesome movie that is Willow. Just before I start, guys, I want to really quickly say that what I think is super cool about this movie is this was actually the movie that on set that Val Kilmer actually met his wife, Joanne. Now, I know her name's Joanne and everything, but I always wonder if I'm pronouncing her last name right, Wally or Willow. Either way, him and his wife, Joanne, met. How romantic and sweet. They met each other. Get over yourself, Julie. I'm a soft touch. But anyways, they met on the set of the movie Willow. Just putting that out there. And of course she played Saoirse in this movie, and you know, her mum Bavmorda, the evil queen. This is such a well casted movie, and I just thought I would say that because those two characters, Saoirse and Mad Mardigan, played by Val Kilmer, I loved their character development within this movie and how Saoirse's character and everything changed throughout, and then she ended up helping in the end save baby Alora, and the tension between those two and the humour and the comedy. I thought they had brilliant chemistry, and you know, we have to be thankful that they did meet on set, because maybe that's why they had such an awesome chemistry that we might not have seen on screen had they not have been romantically, you know, involving themselves basically. But this movie was directed by Ron Howard, and I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Splash starring Tom Hanks. Oh my good goodness, I absolutely adore that movie. I just love it. I don't know. You can let me know what you think of this movie. And this movie was done by Lucasfilm. So of course, as you can tell, George Lucas was heavily involved in this movie. He wrote the story, he produced the movie as well. And what's super interesting is, of course, Warwick Davis, who we all know as Wicket the Ewok as well, from Star Wars. He was absolutely phenomenal in his role as Willow, and people still talk about his character today. People still talk about this movie today. But George Lucas, quite interestingly, on the set when he was shooting Return of the Jedi, he actually said to Warwick Davis, pretty much explained about he was considering doing the movie and Willow and the different sort of ideas around it. And Warwick Davis was he was happy about it and he was interested in it. And of course, obviously that conversation must have worked out well, because of course we have Warwick Davis as the lead character in this movie. Now, if anybody's interested, my two favourite characters without a shadow of a doubt joint is Warwick Davis as Willow, and Mad Mardigan, played by Val Kilmer, aka Batman. I absolutely think he's a fantastic Batman. You can let me know what you think of Val Kilmer as Batman. And talking of Val Kilmer, I just want to quickly say, guess what movie I am looking forward to going and watching? I hope you get this. I hope that you get this. Going to the danger zone. Highway to the danger zone. Danger zone. I'm not going to be angry if you don't get the answer, but I mean, I hope some of you will get the answer. It'd be interesting to see how many of you know Below. Oh my gosh, I love the music composition in that movie, unbelievable. But anyways, right, what is super fascinating about this movie, and something that really stood out to me that I love, is not only is it a great story, great cast, great music, But what I want to say is it's the locations that are just stunning, along with the music alongside it, by James Horner. And I have to just quickly talk about James Horner and then I'll get back to the locations. I always bounce back and forth, guys. Sorry about that. But James Horner done the music for Avatar, and I watched Avatar on my Blu-ray. Seen it many times. I know Avatar, not everybody likes it, but I'm sorry, I love that movie. And that's not going to change. I think it's phenomenal. Seriously, Jim Cameron is fantastic as well. But he did the music for that. He did the music for Titanic. What a classic movie. He also did the music for Braveheart. He also did the music for Aliens, which I also done for Retro Fridays. Now, this movie, parts of it were filmed in New Zealand. And when I look back and watch it now, that's very likely, obviously, the reason why it very much gives me Lord of the Rings vibes, because Lord of the Rings, of course, was done by Peter Jackson, and Peter Jackson lives in New Zealand. And we all know from my Retro Fridays, I have did quite a lot of Peter Jackson movies. Bad Taste is one of them that I have done of his, and I am a huge Peter Jackson fan. Bad Taste is just one of them movies that, well, go and watch my Retro Friday of that. It's a bit out there. Like, it is a bit out there. It's not like Lord of the Rings at all. But yeah, so obviously Bad Taste was filmed in New Zealand, and they also did some of the locations, other locations in this movie, Willow, was Wales, other places in the United Kingdom, so many different places. I'm not going to go over all of them. But another thing that is super interesting is apparently they wanted to do some of the shots in China, but they were actually denied that. They weren't allowed to get permission to actually, fulfill that they wanted to do. So what they done instead was they got someone to go over and they actually took like a photographer photographs in China. And what they done was they added like blue screen and stuff to actually being able to put that into the movie. So I find that super interesting. And this movie follows Willow on a journey, and to me it's a hero's journey. Oh my gosh, is he such a hero in this movie. He's a farmer, he has a wife called Kaya, he has young kids, and he is a farmer that dreams to be, like a sorcerer and to be able to do magic and such things like this. I see that at the beginning of the movie with this little pig in blanket like trick, and of course the young little baby Alora, his two children are playing, and they find little baby Aurora at this pretty much almost at the start of the film at the side of the river, and they call for Willow, their father, and he comes over and everything, and he's like, by no means at all has anybody or something like fall in love with this baby. And of course that's not the case. That's not what happens, because he does, and he really cares for this baby, and he goes on this big massive journey. And it's a long movie. Like, it's like a 2-hour movie. Yeah, it's like 2 hours, isn't it? Yeah, 2-hour movie. So it's a long movie. I don't know exactly the runtime, guys, but from watching this movie many, many times, it's, from what I remember, it's like a 2-hour movie. And he knows that, the baby's not safe there, and of course the evil queen is looking for baby Alora, and she has everybody out looking for the baby. And I want to just quickly say the evil queen scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. Her character was played really, really well, because that's the whole point in an antagonist and a villain. You want to feel scared, and if you're not scared, then you're not doing it right. Kind of like Jafar in the live action Aladdin did. You need to scare me, you know what I mean? Didn't scare any of the kids either from my cinema screen, just saying. But the hogs that she had chasing and stuff like that to try and get baby Alora out looking for it and everything, these hogs that she used, right, to hunt down, oh my gosh, they really scared the heebie-jeebies out of me when I was a child. My dad actually was the one who actually forced me to watch this movie for my first experience ever of watching the classic movie Willow. And he said, sit down, Julie, on the settee, sit down on the sofa, and you're going to watch this movie. What is it, Daddy? Oh, it's brilliant, you're going to love it, Willow. Now, I loved it, of course, as a child. I went, wow, Daddy, I loved that. I really liked it. I was super young. Don't even know what age I was, to be quite perfectly honest. But this movie was brought out a year after I was born, so I'm pretty freaking old. But I remember the scene at the beginning at the riverside with the hog, let's just put it this way, like devouring someone. And I think that was pretty horrifying for me as a child. And to be perfectly honest, that's the thing with this movie. As magical as it is, as wonderful as it is, I'm sure a lot of people, you know, maybe young people in their teenage years or whatever, who like things like Harry Potter and all that kind of deal, would love Willow. But the thing about it is, I'll be honest, for really young kids, there is a couple of scenes that are kind of pretty scary. To be honest, I think kids would be scared today, even still, at watching, you know, some of the scenes in this movie. I don't know, I just thought I would say that. But Val Kilmer was honestly fantastic in this movie. He added a lot of humour. He was a fantastic sidekick for Willow, I thought, in this movie. I love the fact that there is action, of course, in this movie as well. And one of my, actually probably, well, one of my favourite scenes is, you know, the chase scene. And freaking Val Kilmer still, Mad Mannequin, is still wearing women's clothes. Because we all know that funny scene, which I will get to, of course. And they're in like a cart, a horse cart and everything. And it's just totally mad. It's packed full of action. It's hilarious. So humorous. And another thing that I want to say that is classic, and I will never not laugh at this scene. Has anybody else ever noticed, you know, the scene when Warwick Davis, or Willow, or whatever you call him, he's at the very top, like, high window, right? And he jumps out. But he jumps out and he's like completely straight, like he's flying like freaking Superman. And she's like out the window and then straight down like nothing. Genius. Classic, seriously, classic Warwick Davis, and I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. And another scene that I absolutely love is when Mad Mannequin is pretending that he's a woman and everything, you know, so they don't get caught. He's like pulling the thing over, and it's like a pink dress or whatever. Oh yes, and then later on he says, "I'm king of the Kashmir," as in king of the, you know, like cashmere clothes, right? But and what's hilarious is he has these like huge, massive titty bojangles, as I like to call them, right? And he's just like, the guy's flirting with him and everything, and he's like still carrying it on. Absolutely hilarious. And then he says to Saoirse, what was it he said? Oh yeah, your touch is worth 1,000 deaths or 100,000 deaths or something like that. Oh my gosh, absolutely hilarious. And I loved, as I said earlier, how her character developed alongside him. You know, they were getting on, like they really hated each other and stuff like that. A lot of comedy. And of course, you know, even at the beginning, the evil queen, she was advised, you know, I think your daughter is going to betray you. And obviously she did in the end, because she was on their side and she didn't want her mother to bring any harm to baby Alora, and she obviously helps them at the end, and then they're all romantic and everything. So much so, guys, that they actually went in real life and actually married each other. So many people on this journey that he has. He meets a guardian who gives him the wand, the magic wand. He also meets Roselle, who is a sorcerer, and oh my gosh, like, so cute, so cute. And obviously she helps as well, so that baby Alora doesn't get harmed by the evil queen. And he also meets, what do you call them, guys? Like the little pixies, right? And you know the actor Kevin Pollak? Well, he's one of the little pixies. And I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Grumpy Old Men. And then, oh my gosh, the second one's fantastic as well. But Grumpy Old Men is a hilarious comedy, and Kevin Pollak's in it. So it's so funny. I didn't see Grumpy Old Men until about 2 Christmases ago. It is phenomenal. It's based around Christmas, and it had my stomach in knots. Honestly, I couldn't believe how much I laughed start to finish. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. How did I never see this movie before? But you know the movie Night at the Museum, it kind of put me in mind of that, because you know when Owen Wilson was really tiny and everything, and they were in the snow in Night at the Museum, because in this there was a scene where the little pixies were in the snow and everything. And also it put me in mind of Army of Darkness, and if you haven't seen Army of Darkness, then you're not gonna know what I'm talking about. But you know what, with little tiny versions of Ash running around, oh my gosh, absolutely hilarious. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan of Bruce Campbell. But yeah, and also another thing that I loved landscape wise and visual wise, like the movie's just stunning in general, and the music hits me in the feels. The music makes me feel nostalgic, but not in a sad way or an emotional way or anything like that, but just in like it's Willow. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is awesome. Like, this is my childhood. This is still a classic music or movie. I love this music. And it's like a warm feeling, do you know what I mean? Like a comforting feeling. And a thing I love is, completely went off on one there, guys, but was the mountaintops with the snow on them, the snowy mountaintops. Absolutely stunning. And another scene I absolutely love is, you know, the scene when Mad Madigan and Willow are like coming down the slope on the snow. I don't know, I just really, really love that scene. It was beautifully filmed and I thought it was lovely, honestly. To me, this was definitely a hero's journey kind of movie, and that's what's great about George Lucas, you know, hero's journey, especially with, you know, Star Wars, of course. George Lucas is great at what he does. And yeah, I don't think there was anything else that I wanted to say. There's a really romantic part that I always just find so sweet, was when Kaya, Willow's wife, said to him before she had to leave, because they knew it wasn't safe for the baby Allura to stay there, and she says, "I miss you already." And to be honest, that could come across as a really just darn right cheesy line, depending on the way it's said, but because of just the way she said it to Willow, I don't know, I just always find it so, like, every time I watch it I go, "Aww," almost like I've watched the line for the first time, even though I've seen the movie a billion times. I don't even know how many times I've seen the movie. There's no point me trying to guess, because it's too many times to even acknowledge. But this movie is just unbelievable. And when I think Warwick Davis, obviously I think Star Wars, but the first thing I think of, if someone says to me, "Do you know," like, say I was just randomly in a shop buying something and I heard one of them behind the counter talking about Warwick Davis, I just think Willow. I think Willow, then I think Star Wars. And another thing, interesting fact, especially for any of you that maybe live in like the likes of America or Australia or wherever in the world, there's a show over here where I live called, I don't watch TV, guys, I know of it, but I haven't really sat and ever sort of watched it. I've passed by the TV, and it's a game show, and Warwick Davis actually hosts it, and it's called it's either Tenable or Tenables, but like, I never ever watch the TV because there's just never anything good on it. But it might be good, but I've never watched it. But he presents that. It could be good, who knows. But and I remember one day I was walking by and he was asking a question about Star Wars, and I just thought that was really cool. And then the person didn't know the answer, and then he was like, "Yeah, I was an Ewok in Star Wars," and the girl was like, "Really?" And he was like, Yes, I was. I actually was in Star Wars, whether you want to believe me or not." So that was super weird and funny. But yes, that is pretty much everything I wanted to say. There's probably other things I wanted to say as well, guys, but I still get super nervous when I make videos, whether it looks like it or not. So there probably will be other things later. I'll kick myself and be like, "Oh my gosh, why did I not say that? That part of the movie was really cool. And why did I not say that? Why did I not mention this and that?" But either way, guys, you know, these videos, just to let you know, every Friday aren't meant to be like a super in-depth, like the same as the way, I'm not saying any of my movie reviews are that great or insanely in-depth, but I'm just saying that it's more just me coming on and casually talking about movies rather than worrying about it being, you know, not that, to be honest, what am I talking about? None of my movie reviews are very well structured anyways, because my mind just goes in a tangent, guys, and even if I had everything sitting laid out that I wanted to say, I would still go off on a tangent and start talking about goodness knows what. But anyways, guys, I hope you like my style of the way I do these Retro Fridays, and I suppose the way I do other reviews in general. Stop talking, Julie. So I am going to go, and I just realised that I didn't even take one sip of my coffee from my Tom Hiddleston mug. So I'm going to have to go and warm it up. Master of Mischief. I love it. I got it on Amazon. Isn't it awesome? So yeah, I'm going to go and take myself off. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. And honestly, the support means so much to me, and thanks to each and every single one of you that always shows up for this. I really super appreciate that you take your time, especially on the weekend. Thank you guys, and I will see you in my next video. So until then, I will see you soon, guys. Bye.